What is up, guys? Lesamos here, hanging out with you again for another YouTube video. First thing first, guys, thank you so much for everything you've done for the channel so far. We're up over 200 subscribers. The views are way higher than I ever thought they'd be, and I'm having a lot of fun making this. If you see this video, feel free to consider subscribing. It does really help me out a ton. I have a big goal to grind this thing up to 1,000 subscribers. We're going to try to make a video every week for you guys. But what we're doing today is we're going back in time. We're going on a journey through Chromie's time machine. And we're going to talk about all the different eras of Hardcore WoW, all of the things that we've seen in our journey of Hardcore WoW. Nowadays, we look at OnlyFans and all the drama that comes with that and official Hardcore servers, but it wasn't always like that. Way back when, it was just back when Cargos made up the challenge in 2019. There really wasn't much else. It was just a few other players playing the game. I don't want to get too far into what was going on at that time, so we're going to talk about it soon. But through that journey, the community's gone through ups and downs and waves and dips and different events and kind of eras of hardcore. So what we're going to do is we're going to rank the eras of hardcore. How fun were they to be a part of? How important were they to the community? How big of a difference did they make? So we're going to go through that today, and it's going to be a fun time. Stay tuned. The first era we're going to go through today, guys, is the original Hardcore Challenge, back when Iron Lad was created by Cargos Gaming in early 2020, I believe. There were just a few people playing, and I actually joined this community a few months after this. I think I started playing maybe March, April 2020, so a little bit after when originally this first group came in. But this is going to be the original formation. The rules weren't even solved yet. No one had really known what the Hardcore Challenge was. If you got to level 20 or level 15, you were an elite gamer at the time. And I'm honestly, just out of respect, I'm going to put it in the A tier. I feel like because it can't be an S tier time, just because not as many people were there yet, it wasn't as well thought out of a challenge just yet. It was basically just Cargos and Grace for Days dying on repeat. But it was super fun to be a part of. So back then, you had DC death appeals, which will be a big theme that we'll talk about, to the appeal system, the mod system, how fun the community was to be a part of. I'm going to go A tier here because it hadn't really started to pick up steam just yet. It was really in the formation stages. A lot of the original mods were going back and forth about the rules, what the challenge would look like, because back in the day, there was a solo self-found rule set, meaning that you could not group out in the open world. You can only group for dungeons. You can only do each dungeon once. You could not trade, and death equaled delete. So there was a lot of different things. Oh, do we allow a cash system? I think a cash system came into play where you could mail stuff off to an alt, and then if you picked up your next character, you could start there. There were things like that getting floated around. There were things like, oh, can we take mail? Can we use the auction house? And this is where the rules got formed of the challenge that grew into what official servers would eventually become. So out of just sheer respect, I got to put it in the A tier, but it's not quite in the S tier. What is going to go in the S tier, though? Bloodsail Bucks, baby. Bloodsail Buccaneers. Man, oh man, oh man. If you played on Bloodsail Buccaneers once things got rolling, I'm talking right before Road to Rag. Oh, it was primo. I'm talking if you were playing in late 2020, right before that Road to Rag. I think 2022 was Road to Rag, actually. So late 2022, pre-Road to Rag, we were just about to put together this big hardcore challenge to try to go kill Ragnaros, and everyone was just playing for practice, just to get experience in the world. The vibes were never better. The vibes were actually, quite literally, never better than they were in the pre-Road to Rag Bloodsail Bucks phase of hardcore. If you were around then, you know it to be true. You are absolutely licking your lips at how amazing and immaculate the vibes were. And I think this is what got a lot of the core people that came together to build Hardcore WoW and build a lot of the events around it. This era is what really hooked them, and they could really, really sink their teeth into. You had some players started to explore level 60 content. You had Jamin and Graze for Days and Cargos. They went in and died immediately. And then you had another group of players that went in and did a lot of the content and started to say, okay, wait a minute, this can be done. I know only Black Smoke, and some of the other names are escaping right now, but Team Hicks was in there as well. They were clearing a lot of the dungeons and starting to say, okay, wait, maybe this hardcore level 60 stuff is possible. Which brings us to the next part of our journey, which is Road to Ragnaros. So Road to Rag was an event in, I believe, fall of 2022, where the community was going to come together saying, can we kill Ragnaros in hardcore? This was universally believed to be impossible. There was absolutely no way that this was going to happen. When it first came out, I was like, what, dude? We're trying to kill Rag? This is insane. Absolutely nuts. And the community came together, but then Blizzard threw a curveball at the end, and they put it on Season of Mastery. So it took us off of our classic era servers that we were going to do the event on, and we had to play on Season of Mastery, which obviously had some increased XP rates, obviously had some buffed bosses, so the endgame was much harder, but not quite what Bloodsail Buccaneers was. And this really threw a huge curveball for the community as a whole. And for that reason, and for a couple other reasons I'm going to talk about, Road to Rag, I think, was S tier influential, but I got to go C tier. To be honest with you guys, I gotta go C tier because this is when Blizzard first put a nod into the game with hardcore. It gave the Soul of Iron buff, and the Soul of Iron buff ended up being really, really, really bad for the game because you didn't have to delete your character if you died, but you lost this buff. So everyone who wanted to play hardcore played off this buff, but it just opened the door to griefing, which really just wrecked the community from the inside and created some of the most toxic times you've ever seen. You know what? D tier. It's D tier. I'm sorry. Road to Rag is D tier. It was super fun to play in, and the fresh was very fun. But you had a very interesting build up to Road to Rag where it was a super cool event. The community was all together, and then it got so much bigger than anyone thought it was going to that the community started to schism within it, right? So you had your mods working triple-double overtime to do... We were still doing appeals. We were still doing rules. We were still doing, you know, all these different things that were happening. We were doing appeals for griefers, which really created a lot of drama around if the event was even legitimate, if, you know, griefing was valid or not. Should griefers be banned? Should anti-griefing be put into the game? If you die, should you just be done, right? And then what happened after Road to Rag really put a big schism into the community, and it became something that we saw over time where the content creators, the people that really put in a lot of time to build the event up, would play in the event, and then they were done, which is totally fine, totally valid. But what had happened was a lot of people fell in love with hardcore raiding, and they stayed together. And they started to build up this kind of like, we are the ones that are left behind. These content creators left us behind. You know, we bought into this system with these content creators that built this big thing, and then boom, it's gone. And now we're just left with our level 60 hardcore characters with no leadership, no guidance, or anything like that, which built up a lot of resentment in the hardcore community, which luckily the hardcore community was able to overcome and get to official hardcore servers. But this event was amazing in what it did, but it really executed a lot of it poorly. And I think a lot of, man, it just wasn't fun. It was super fun to be a part of, but it was not fun to have to try to oversee. It was not fun to try to have to, you know, it just left the community really split for the first time. It was a community that walked in together and came out separated. And for that, I'm going D tier. The griefers really got a hold of this whole event. And yes, we did kill Ragnaros on Season of Mastery. That was awesome, but it came with this caveat of it's not official. It's you know, Soul of Iron and all this stuff. So D tier. Then after that, everything went into the shadows for a bit. Everything dipped down. No one played hardcore. I think Grace for Days did still. And then Wrath came out, and then boom. Next came one of the most amazing times of hardcore WoW. It's a holiday. It's a hardcore fresh. Couple hundred of my best. Yeah. Hardcore holidays. Dude, this event failed miserably. It failed so miserably. But what was happening in the community at this time was there was a really big push to get people playing back on Bloodsail Buccaneers to say, hey, wink, wink. Hey, wink, wink. If people are playing hardcore, wink, wink, we can get official, wink, wink. Trust me, I know, wink, wink. And that air of hype just flooded the servers. And once the servers got flooded, they kept getting flooded. And you saw these content creators playing hardcore again, and it boomed. It absolutely boomed to a level that we hadn't even seen before. Hardcore Holidays, I think, trumped Road to Rag in terms of player base. The thing is, Hardcore Holidays, the goal was to kill Azergos. That never happened. That completely... We had so much fun, we forgot what the goal was. That's what Hardcore Holiday was. We just started playing, and everyone had so much fun that they forgot what the goal was. Dude, there was an entire Christmas album made by Cargos to hype up this event. There was a charity event alongside it, so people were streaming. They were raising money for charity. It was just a very, very feel-good event, and this event itself really laid the foundation in Blizzard's ear, saying, hey, we need to start looking at, you know, potentially, is this something we need to go in officially on and do? Right? But it led us into a different time. After Hardcore Holidays was a success, a lot of people, including myself, I was a part of this next thing, came together and created Hardcore All-Stars Season 1. Now, Hardcore All-Stars Season 1, it's going in the C tier for a couple of reasons. Now, super fun, super cool event, did a lot of awesome things. And I think you're starting to see a theme here with a lot of the events that I think were awesome versus the ones that I think are C and D tier. Man, the drama involved with Hardcore All-Star Season 1, my goodness, it wasn't even... it was worth it, right? Because what happened at the end of Hardcore All-Star Season 1 is at the championship event, I actually produced this live stream in LA. At this event, Blizzard announced official hardcore servers. So this got us official hardcore servers. What's really, really funny about Hardcore All-Stars is that when we originally drew up Hardcore All-Stars, we thought maybe we'd get, I think, 8 teams. We were like, oh my goodness, 40 players will sign up. But one that ended up happening is we had 20 teams. And to back it up, what Hardcore All-Stars was, it was a dungeon racing series. So you started off with your team of 5, and you had to level up. And every single week, there was a race or a circuit. It was every 2 weeks there was a circuit. So it would be, the circuit 1 was Dead Mines, Wailing Caverns, SFK, I believe something else. And the next level of dungeons came next, the next level of dungeons came next, the next level of dungeons came after that. So it was a super cool event in actuality, but anytime you try to put rules or structure into WoW, the community just loses their mind. And it becomes very, very difficult to enjoy it. This was a very, very stressful time for the people playing in Hardcore All-Stars, for the people running Hardcore All-Stars on the background. I think maybe it was cool from a viewer standpoint, but I think a lot of people, while a lot of people did think it was cool, a lot of people were just picking it apart. And I think it was a really big schism point in the community. And I think you'll see a theme here where, you know, Bloodsail Bucks up here, the community comes together. It's awesome. It's fantastic. Boom, Road to Rag down here. Then Hardcore Holidays, the community comes together. It's fantastic. Amazing. Boom, Hardcore All-Stars starts to schism again. So that's kind of my idea of the events that I really like versus the events that I look back on and go, man, that was cool, but I don't ever really want to do that again. And I know there are people clamoring for Hardcore All-Star Season 2, but trust me, if it ever comes back, it's coming back in a very different way. But maybe it will. Who knows? All right, guys, next we have official hardcore launch. I'm breaking official hardcore launch into a couple different categories because I think it's had a couple different waves now. So this is going to be the original launch in August of 2023, okay? And it's going to go right here. It's going to go in the A tier. I think official was cool. I'm really, really glad that they didn't try to implement a rule set. I'm really, really glad that pretty much anything that happened, if your character dies, it was gone. And then grouping ended up being really, really fun. A lot of the rule sets I think are cool. It's fun to do a solo self-bound run every once in a while, but at the end of the day, I think grouping ended up being really, really fun and good for the game. And I think a ton of people enjoyed Hardcore WoW. Enjoyed the official Hardcore WoW servers. I know a lot of people, a lot of my real life friends played it. A lot of people from all over the different WoW scopes played it. And I think they really, really enjoyed it. And I think it was actually a pretty wholesome time. While other things were going on in the game, I think the normal player that was just playing fresh really, really enjoyed it. With that said, there was something else happening at the time. And that was Frontier. Where would I put Frontier on this timeline? Boom, it's in the S tier. Frontier was so fun. It was amazing. And for how big it was, there really wasn't that much drama around it. I've never really seen a WoW guild go as popular as OnlyFans did, or not OnlyFans, I'm sorry, Frontier did, and not get a ton of drama around it. I think for the most part, a lot of people kind of just tipped their hat and went, that was pretty cool. That was pretty badass. Because what Frontier did was Frontier brought together all of the best WoW players from all over the world. And it took players from Grizzly, it took players from Apes, it took players from a lot of different WoW guilds, Progress, and they all came together to say, how quick can we clear all the content? Because what happened on official hardcore servers is that all the content came out at once. I'm sure you guys know this. All the content came out at once. So Frontier had the great idea to see how fast they could clear all of it. I was in this. I was top 25 mage in the world. I cleared World First Ragnaros with Frontier. My character's still alive. Chilling. It didn't clear KT in the kill, but it was in the guild still. Eventually I had to go back to work and a lot of the sweats overtook me, but man, this fresh, while I don't know that I ever want to do it again, was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I played for 36 hours straight, then slept for 4 hours, then played 20 hours, slept for 4 hours, 20 hours, slept for 4 hours. It was insane. And we cleared it. We crushed it. There was a couple deaths that really didn't need to happen, some drama surrounded all that, but for the most part, I think Frontier was a huge success. And it really set the stage for what can be done on hardcore servers, and I think really inspired the next two things that we're going to see. And the final chapters of hardcore. So after Frontier came and went, Soda Poppin said, what if we did this? What if we did Frontier except everyone was bad? Which birthed OnlyFans. OnlyFans Season 1. So OnlyFans Season 1 happened at the tail end of the hype of the hardcore servers, and it kind of brought a resurgence back into hardcore WoW. I need to admit something here. I was not very plugged into hardcore WoW when this happened. I had just finished Frontier. I was really not involved in the community at this point. I had to go back to real life. I had to go get my life together, which, by the way, success. I'm making YouTube videos on the side. I have a job. Super fun stuff. B tier. I think it was cool. I mean, again, didn't really have too much to do with it. I believe they killed Molten Core. It was, decently climactic. But what really happened here that I think kind of tainted the experience is that everyone got mob tagged. So everyone got mob tagged and it wasn't solo self-sound. So everyone got mob tagged and everybody bought gold. Which, in hindsight, was good because it opened the door for potential for OnlyFans Season 2. But at the time felt like it cheapened the experience, especially compared to the solo self-found rule sets and, you know, what Frontier had just done doing it on a fresh server. I think it was cool, but a lot of people were like, okay, but for 100 different reasons, this would never work. Which brings us to our last point here. OnlyFans Season 2. OnlyFans Season 2, man. This fresh. This hardcore fresh. I think it's been cool. I've been a viewer, Andy, so I haven't been a part of it. It's nice that it happened, but I don't think it was anything better than a C. I think it feels forced to me. And yes, I've been making content videos about OnlyFans, but that's just what is popular right now. A lot of the ins and outs, the back and forths, it feels very forced. And at this point, the server's been out for like 3-4 months and they haven't even touched Molten Core. So while there's other guilds really enjoying this fresh server, I'd say OnlyFans Season 2 as an event, as an era of hardcore WoW, it's going to go in the C tier. Now, who knows? They could raid this weekend and they wipe in an incredible fashion, and then boom, it just ramps up into this. When's the next fresh? When can they try this again? We need to see this again. And I do think there will be a hunger for this again. But OnlyFans Season 2, imagine if Tyler 1 didn't play. If Tyler 1 didn't play, I think OnlyFans Season 2 actually might have died. No, not to like jock ride him too hard here, but I really do think that Tyler 1 carried OnlyFans Season 2 in a really big way, especially after Soda died. So, yeah, it's in the C tier for me. So, without further ado, let's run through it one more time here. In the D tier, we got Road to Rag. The griefers, the rule sets, super cool event, but it was on Season of Mastery. That really put a huge damper on the whole thing, in my opinion. Super cool, but not quite what we know as hardcore WoW now today. In the C tier, we have OnlyFans Season 2. Super cool, but yeah, a little forced, a little bit too far on the content side for me personally. I know that's the whole point, but it's a little bit too far on the content side for me. And I'm enjoying watching it, but I don't think it's going to be a, really amazing part of hardcore history. Hardcore All-Star Season 1. Super cool, super impactful, helped Blizzard launch official hardcore, but miserable to be a part of. In the B tier, we got OnlyFang Season 1. Cool, set the stage. Pretty neutral event to me. Again, I wasn't a huge big part of it, so I can't really rate it too high or too low. A tier, official hardcore launch, and the original formation of Hardcore WoW back in the day when Cargos did it. Both of these events, super big pillars into what hardcore would become in each of its respective eras. And then the S tier, you got the Frontier run to kill KT. You got Hardcore Holidays. It's a hardcore fresh cup. You already know. And then you got the original, once hardcore picked up speed for the first time on Bloodsail Buccaneers. Chef kiss. Fantastic S tier. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out for this video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like. Please, please, please consider subscribing. It was great to be here. I'll catch you on the flip. Peace.